controversy. Everything sounds perfect.
Talk about experience.
Cut! 100 problems, and this bitch is one with her mic turned off. Well, the last time I checked, women tend to fake a lot of things. It is not the first time.
Pharmacon! Automaton! Triathlon! Again. From day one, it was our goal to put technology together. It was beyond industry standards. Response technology. From day one, it was our goal to put response technology together. Try again. From day one, our goal was to put together technology that went beyond industry standards.
Relevant to masses in an organized way. Relevant to masses in an organized way. Nothing to masses in an organized way. Nothing to masses in an organized way.
Again, 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 again. He should have stepped up. He could have put him. He's a washed up nobody, and he's 100% to blame. How different our history might have been. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. If I see you, I will spit on you.
Nothing convincing, bad fit. Nothing convincing, bad
Well, due to technical difficulties,
Learn to work, learn to work, learn to work, learn to work. Final love, final love,
He needs some space.
He needs me
breaks are in place. Any questions?
Hello and welcome to the performance room. I'm live with the artist Cally Spooner and I'll be really happy to talk to her for the next 15 minutes or so. We can take your comments and questions. You can submit them live to Cally via Facebook, Twitter, YouTube or Google+. And we've had quite a lot of comments coming in already from people who've been watching. Ruth Parker in Hertfordshire said, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. More please, Tate and Cally. Nicola Goldenberg in Sweden said, live performance online, amazing. How cool you cannot see us. But there are questions coming in too. And I just want to, well, we'll take one here from Romilly Jackson-Jones in New York City. What's your attraction to using a chorus line to tell a story? Because you've been working with this format of the musical for quite a while.
Yeah.
And what is it about that?
Well, I was sort of interested in the chorus line as this kind of apparatus that operates within this musical theatre genre, as being this sort of this function of language, I suppose, that sort of carried these repetitions and sort of drove the action, but was never really the main narrative or like the main point of the piece. And I'm sort of quite interested in things not really arriving, or there not being a narrative, or things somehow kind of being upset when it gets to the point where you'd think that there was going to be a narrative or some kind of coherency. And the chorus line seemed like an interesting function to sort of move from the margins of this like really overused genre into the centre of the action, to just sort of talk about mechanisms of language and rather than narrative, I suppose, if that makes sense.
And you quoted Bernhard Stiegler at the beginning, he said it's based on his writings. You're interested in this idea of public speech or singing, opera singing, as a kind of fetishised prosthetic extension of the body somehow. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the Stiegler reference came through a sort of an ongoing conversation that I've been having with a curator called Annie Godfrey-Larman, who sort of was making the was with me when we first made the musical at the Stedelijk Museum in April last year.
You presented a live version of this.
Yeah.
You should have said at the Stedelijk and
at the Stedelijk and Performer, and we did a rehearsal at KW Institute Berlin as well, and then we did a live performance here at the Tate Britain as well. Yeah. And when it was first commissioned by the Stedelijk, Annie was working with me on this, and we were having conversations about various conversations around sort of forms of speech and technology and what that kind of relationship was today. I was very interested in sort of Hannah Arendt at the time, and a lot of ideas that she was having sort of way back in 1957, 58 around how sort of forms of technological progress were creating an impact on our speech. and our ability to be with others and speak. And then Annie introduced me to some of these ideas of Stiegler, which have really stuck within the project ever since. He talks a lot about the idea of being somehow kind of proletarianized, if you like, by forms of technology if it's not used correctly, or it can be something of a pharmacon, both a poison and a cure. And I was sort of interested in what happened when speech becomes technical. And I don't mean just necessarily through the internet per se, but also if it becomes rhetoric or algorithmic, or, you know, if it somehow becomes technical. And so via him, I was trying to think about,
Because you've used technical language, collaged bits of found language from media, from digital media
and PR, and like lots of and PR and TV and different spaces of where there's a sort of a jargonistic kind of form of language at play in order to sort of deliver something to achieve progress.
But then you've paired that with this really old-fashioned idea of choral singing. That's live, actually. So I like that.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I really like the coming together of people, I suppose, and working with groups of people. I've been working with a really, really amazing group of 6 women on the piece. Who were credited at the beginning of the who you heard singing, obviously, and you saw some of them in the stage set as well just before we got here. And I'm really interested in that idea of working with a group, I suppose, and over time and building up something together. So it's sort of this weird juxtaposition between this quite jargonistic-y kind of language, or this this quite technical language, and then this sort of sense of working things out as a group with a group of people
in real time.
In real time,
space.
Yeah.
Sasha in Brooklyn has asked, related to that, how do you approach creating a work for the online space versus physical? And this piece in particular has been in both.
Yeah.
Because you imagine this, as someone else, Paul Tindy and Nice has said, you know, you're imagining this as a trailer that's come after the live piece, but before a film you plan to make. So how do the 3 stages work?
Well, the idea was that I found this a strange space, this sort of online performance room space, strange, but also interesting. Strange in the sense that, and I find sort of online space a bit strange in general, I suppose. And I think the first thing I knew that I wanted to deal with was the idea of there being a sort of a lack of bodies, you know, a lack of people in some kind of a way. And that's why a lot of the material that you've just seen is also kind of pre-recorded, or there's a lot of absent people within it, and it's cutting between sort of the live register of the opera singer and then a lot of sort of pre-recorded material.
But were you deliberately blurring that? Because somebody, Anna in Moscow, has said, I thought it would be live, not a recorded video.
Yeah, it's
but
both.
Actually it was.
It's actually both, and I deliberately wanted it to feel like it was all pre-recorded. I was thinking a lot about the idea of like the lip sync, or like how this could feel like a kind of a lip sync in some kind of a way, this whole kind of particular piece. And I wanted it to feel like really pre-recorded and really kind of like, I don't know, but also be very live. And there is a lot of live. I mean, we've obviously been. I mean, there's obviously there's a live opera singer in it. There's this stage that there's obviously all the live kind of editing and the cutting between stuff that has to happen. And all the material that is actually in it is all shot live as well. So all the pre-recorded material is all shot in sort of straight takes. It's kind of, you know, but it's sort of, so everything's a bit messed up in that sense. And I wanted that to be quite messed up.
Do you think liveness matters now? I mean, does it make sense? Because, as you say, it can be hard to tell. It can be faked quite easily. You know, does live broadcast mean what it did when you would watch, I don't know, a pop concert, like Top of the Pops broadcast live on TV in the 80s? That was kind of exciting, but with everything being so easily available to be recorded and transmitted,
I think
does it have a premium? I don't know.
I mean, I think that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here in this performance room, was that obviously this performance room existed before as a live event, and it's been a live event for a really long time. You know, I've been working with these 6 women for a long time, and then when we moved to performer, and then also after this came here to the Tate, we were working with a lot more women as well, 26 women here at the Tate that were with this chorus line. And I think it was, yeah, I don't know. I guess it was very much about, I don't know, like somehow knowing that was over, and that wanting to deal with this idea of what it meant to kind of put that liveness or that live activity into a space of kind of pre-recording and the digital in some kind of way, and work out. And I sort of felt like I would use this performance room as this interim moment where it sort of shifted status from being this very, very live, like very workshopped activity that had kind of moved to all these different places to something that was becoming filmic and was becoming a film and was becoming almost like a document of that activity or a document of itself. And and so I think in relation to this, the live is really important because it was really what was generating content. So the live events that I was doing that were definitely not kind of pre-recorded or with any mediation in them were a kind of a form of studio time or something like this to lead towards the film, within which hopefully it's going to be able to think about these more blurred distinctions between what is live and what is pre-recorded today, because this was live, and also I didn't want, I was
going to say, part of your script for the singers were glitches from live speech, or you've kind of taken all these sort of fetishized tics of liveness and turned them into something more choreographed. I mean, in certain cases.
I mean, so for instance, the dancers, the dance sequences, which were, I'm going to like reveal, like show my pants now, but like, so the dancers were not here in the room. The opera singer was here in the room. The chorus line were at the Tate Britain, and their voices were here, but not the thing. And so but the dancers, for instance, were pre-recorded, but they were also shot in straight takes. So they were shot in these single takes, and the gestures that they're delivering are they're all sort of the speech gestures from various kind of public figures, like Justin Bieber's manager sort of doing these kind of pitches to the media, sort of suggesting that Justin Bieber is not in trouble, that he's in a great place, that he hasn't kind of had any public trauma, or one of the gestures is of is of Lance Armstrong lying on the Oprah Winfrey show when he was kind of confessing about his doping scandal. There's one where there's Beyonce taking out her earpiece when she lip-synced at the presidential inauguration. So the dancers were all doing these sort of, I mean, there's obviously verbal glitches, but there are also these quite physical glitches as well, which I sort of choreographed and built up into, I don't know, this weird dance of sorts.
Repetition.
Lots of repetition of the glitches, I suppose.
But well, we've answered the question asked by Simon Wallace, who said which bits were live. We are live. We
live.
Can confirm. You chose to make this setting though in a particular way.
It's the Oprah Winfrey stage set.
Why did you want to do that? Because the performance room that the work was filmed in was there, but you kind of extended.
The opera singer was also there. Space. She's there. We're here. I can hear everyone laughing next door. This is the Oprah Winfrey stage set, and it's specifically the Oprah Winfrey stage set where Lance Armstrong lied to Oprah Winfrey. And I wanted to rebuild that, and Giles Round helped me rebuild it. And it's and I also want to say thank you to Pascal and Lewis for lending me their chairs. Thanks. But anyway, the point is that it's a mix of stuff. So opera singer Veronica was live over there. We're live. The dancers were not live, but they were live when I filmed them. They're shot in straight single takes. And the sort of the lip-synching woman was not live. And the singing was live, very live once. It came from the live performance from the Tate Britain, and then it got brought in here. And the editing was very live.
Wow.
So it's a mix.
A complex tapestry.
It's a complex tapestry.
I mean, it builds on, you'd done a film where you'd shot a feature-length film live, as it were, as an unedited take, or there's no post-production. So for instance, so I'm quite interested in this idea of like blurring the distinctions between what's live and what's pre-recorded. And I made a feature-length film which was called Collapsing in Parts, which was an hour and 40 minutes or 30 minutes or something like this, which looks very edited, and it looks extremely sort of cinematic. Well, I don't know, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it definitely looks
like pretty slick, and it looks like it's got edit points in, but all of it is shot with a single camera, you know, in a straight take, and just through this kind of human effort of these two poor actors that had to, you know, really focus.
Okay.
Yeah, and we got it in the first take as well, so there's no take that exists outside of that either. So I've been playing around with that idea of what's present and what's absent for some time, I suppose. Yeah.
Beanie Feldstein has asked, well, from Wesleyan University in Connecticut, why did you choose an operatic style of singing?
Yeah, well, the opera singer is singing YouTube comments. So she's singing the comments that you get at the bottom of YouTube videos, which I'm quite interested in that space. But she's specifically singing the comments that are taken from the sort of the same indiscretions that the dancers are sort of dancing the gestures of, if you like. And I mean, I'm interested in that space underneath YouTube. It's quite it's a really aggressive space, and it's this allegedly it's quite a democratic space in theory. You know, the idea of online commenting in general appears to be kind of quite democratic and generous, but I think very often it's just a bit rubbish, to be honest. And I find the YouTube space very strange. Anyway, the comments that were delivered at the end of these YouTube videos, where there were these various celebrities that were also involved in these moments that seemed live but had actually been pre-recorded, such as the Beyonce lip sync or the Lance Armstrong kind of Oprah interview and stuff. I was sort of interested in the anger, the kind of the public anger at these betrayals of liveness. You know, so everyone was so upset that Beyonce had lip synced and things like this, and I was kind of interested in giving that anger a kind of the sound of trauma, or like the voice of like drama or trauma, which is so
flattened on YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is so
formulaic usually, and ends up with the same kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone had done a study and said that arguments on YouTube within 10 steps always get to somebody calling someone else a Nazi.
Yeah,
like it's a complete. There's a pattern to those kind of.
Yeah, no, totally, and they're really, it's a really strange space, and I thought that, but it is nonetheless, like, for some reason, quite a charged space. You know, for some reason, people are quite, you know, dramatic on it and pissed off, and oh, sorry, am I allowed to say? Yeah, it's like you can beep it. It's too late. Yeah, no. And it's and I wanted to give that another a sort of the sound of trauma or drama, you know, which is the sort of the opera voice, you know. That's like, and when you see what those comments are, you know, they are as sort of, I don't know, they are as like terrible and tragic as like you know, an opera in some kind of way. And so that's why
fully solipsistic.
Yeah,
you know,
very super narcissistic. Yeah, and lots of narcissism and one-wayness, and I think it was that sort of one-way narcissism, sort of this idea of being very, very angry but on your own, because obviously Beyonce can't hear you, and obviously nobody's really listening until it's like 10 steps long and they call you a Nazi or whatever kind of the common denominations. But like, so yeah, I wanted to give the voice of
interesting elaboration in that sense of how Rosalind Krauss wrote about early video and this narcissistic loop of the artist watching themselves perform.
Yeah.
Because all the viewers are in a similar narcissistic loop that's kind of plugged in to the matrix.
Yeah.
There's one more question here from Pablo Bronstein, an artist who made a work earlier in the series. How's the viewer to be made aware of your source materials, and does it matter if they aren't? Because in a way that these materials have structured the choreography and the text. Do you need footnotes to know what they are? You did have a programme for your live event.
I mean, I put it in sometimes, but then I'm quite keen that you don't have to know, you know. I really hope that even if you didn't know, if you don't know any of the underlying references or different current affairs or different bits of philosophy or various things that are being referenced within this, I would be like super happy if it was still, you know, like watchable and you know, and there was something to be kind of able to form out of that. It's not so didactic that you have to follow those references, you know.
You want the mood of it, you know.
Yeah, it's more the mood I'm after. Like, I'm really interested in this state of staged speech, just per se, you know, and just trying, and really all the kind of the references and current affairs and bits of philosophy, they're just ways for me to get to the point where I can kind of create these conditions of staged speech. Yeah.
Well, Daniel Carter in London thinks you have succeeded. He said, wow, it's like BuzzFeed meets Daily Mail meets Twitter meets Ellen. If that was the mood you were going for. When's the film out?
Oh,
how's
autumn,
that film gonna work?
2014.
Excellent. A plug. Gordon McCall in Edinburgh said, saw your Tate Britain show, brilliant. What's your ideal location for a performance? How does this compare? How did that situation in Tate Britain, in a very beautiful architectural setting, neoclassical, compared to this, being in a room online?
Well, this has been really fun, actually. Like, I mean, the Tate Britain was super hard. That was a really tough space because it's a museum and it's, you know, and it's very, it's super austere and, you know, everybody arrives feeling very austere, I think. And so, and the acoustics were really hard and like you're always fighting against the space because it's so dominant and it's so, you know, it's so full of history and the architecture is quite spectacular, and so that space was, you know, a lot of fun to work in. But actually, it's been quite a relief to like be in a space that's, you know, a bit more manageable and it's kind of fun.
Well, I thought you used the Tate Britain space brilliantly and the acoustics actually.
Yeah, it took us a while. It took us a while to get there. I mean, it was just a bit counterintuitive, like all the things that you thought you could do with it, like, oh, we're going to have a big finale up in the balconies, and then you're like, oh, we can't really hear them up in the balcony. You know, it was just a lot of manoeuvring around to try and make it work. But I think in the end, we sort of got there. So I suppose my ideal space is, I mean, I think it would get a bit boring to work in like TV sets all the time. You know, it's nice to do both. It was nice to deal with all these kind of logistical challenges of the Tate Britain, and then to deal with something that's like building a stage set with Giles.
Yeah,
you know, that's quite
although in both cases you're adopting a framework. I mean, you were sort of taking the museum, the high art museum, as a kind of ready-made to work in, and the TV set as another kind of ready-made.
Yeah, I mean the museum.
The film, in a way, making a feature film is the same.
Yeah.
Format-wise, is that something that makes sense for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know yet. I mean, I think the film is going to feel a lot like there's a lot of stage sets in it. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of sound stages and stage sets, and I think it's going to feel like. You know, that there's like an awful lot happening, but you know, I think there's not going to be very many spaces that's happening in, and so I think in that sense the film is also going to be a bit like TV or something. I don't know, but yeah, the idea of the ready-made is quite important. I mean, using a museum was important at the Tate Britain, and before that at Performer, and before that at Stedelijk, because I wanted to talk about speech and history and ideas of kind of permanence and the idea of almost making technical of culture, of inscribing things into permanence, into history, and you know, or things that needed to achieve highly to settle in one place and become permanent somehow. And in a way, the TV set or the chat show stage set isn't so different to the museum in that sense. I mean, it's still about immortalising certain things, right? Or giving things that can become immortal a home, like the Oprah and Lance interview or something. Sorry.
True. I mean, it seems like the absolute opposite, because it seems to be about currency and turnover. And the museum seems to be about stasis and permanence, like you say. But actually, what persists on YouTube now might last, who knows how long it'll last. But
and also this idea of the sites that history's made or kept or kind of produced, or you know, or the spaces where things can no longer be rehearsed anymore. You know, the places where things are no longer in flux or progress, where they need to like arrive and like perform and deliver. And in a sense, there's not so much difference between a museum and a TV set in that sense. Maybe, I don't know.
At this moment, I think we're
maybe
testing out that idea live. There's a question here from Hassan Vaseli. Were you thinking of any opera cooperation, staging or directing which includes pre-recorded stuff, or syncing from two different places? He's talking about an opera Babylon in Munich staged by La Fora del Baus. A concept which could be advanced by you.
Veronica, do you know this opera? Do you know it?
Aha.
Is it good?
Veronica, the opera singer who
The opera
is
singer.
from
She's not going to
Munich.
say anything.
She's thinking it might not work for your next
Veronica,
project.
maybe you can take me. Okay. Veronica,
Would you
who
go
was the
further
opera
with the
singer, is
idea?
from Munich, so
Okay,
maybe
yeah,
she
so
knows.
she knows about it. But
I mean,
would you go further with
what,
the idea of
lip-syncing, opera?
well, opera?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, there'll be an opera singer in the film, you know, as well. I mean, most likely Veronica, hopefully. And I think, but again, I think it's always going to kind of occupy this space of the sort of the disgruntled public. I think that's the opera voice, and then I think the chorus line will be my chorus line. And I don't know, it's just a bit of a mashup of different things. That doesn't really answer the question, but like, I mean, I don't know the opera, so it's a bit hard to know. Like Babylon.
Uma Donington in Kent has said it's like a Glee opera of our time. A musical she'd like to see.
Yeah, Glee.
Maybe I don't know if that's a better reference.
They're equally important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading through. Oh, somebody, well, it's a question for Veronica actually about the singing from Joe Kendall in London. Where did you learn to sing like that?
Where did you learn to sing like that? Studied in Munich. At what school?
At the Hochschule, at the Academy of Music.
I can't say that. At the Academy of Music in Munich. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
what she says. Thanks, Veronica.
But in your live version of the performance, you deliberately invited singers, or auditioned for singers who had all different kinds of genre specialism.
Yeah, I mean,
and had them sing together, which is really interesting.
Yeah. There's lots of different singers. So for instance, the 6 women that I've been working with on the musical, they're all super different. Like Rebecca is a kind of a jazz singer, I think. Jenny is in a Bulgarian folk trio, amongst other things. Helen does musical theatre, Rhiannon does musical theatre and also sort of jazz singing. Pia does jazz singing. Chloe is actually an artist, a voice artist. So they're all...
So were you interested in that idea of heterogeneity and kind of disconnection within the chorus?
Yeah, I just wanted everyone to have their own voice and presence, I think, and then I was sort of interested in, through this process of making the musical and it being this very devised process and us working together and all bringing such different things to it, that it would, you know, in some way increasingly develop more and more into, and the musical itself moves further and further and closer towards this finale where everyone becomes the same. You know, it moves from being disparate and having movement to having no movement and everyone being the same. And I guess I at least wanted to start in a place where everyone had, you know, difference. And that was, and then we had this sort of very staged kind of automation that was going to happen at the end. And also it's just super interesting working with people from so many different, you know, with so much knowledge and different understandings of music, and they're all such great musicians. And okay,
well, we've just got time for one more comment. Anna Gebelkin from Denver, who said, Cally Spooner, so eloquent, insightful comments about liveness, performance, publics, the digital age and life. That's very nice. And a final question from Tim in Los Angeles, who said, will you be using the comments from this YouTube performance in your next performance?
Well, actually,
I haven't seen them all yet.
Now I have to say thank you very, very much to the Kunstverein in Munich, because some of these comments actually come from a piece of work that already exists, where I've got a piece of work where opera singers arrive in a gallery and deliver these kind of various YouTube comments and different comments from various moments of again, these different scenarios where there's been a celebrity moment where something has seemed live but has been pre-recorded and people have got quite devastated. So actually I have made a work from these comments, and it's a bigger work and it's quite separate, but it was really a really fun work to make, that was sort of playing around with those comments, you know, sort of automating the opera singer through these opera surtitles and creating this quite narcissistic loop where you were sort of the YouTube comments were automating the singer and this, yeah. So I really,
yes.
I have. The answer is yes, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. That's unfortunately all we've got time for,
Yeah.
but thanks a lot for answering our questions. And thanks to everybody for submitting comments and questions. We'll be back with the next performance room in May.